most jealous your pet has gotten. My dog Bear literally sabotaged my entire dating life for 2 years straight. I'm not even joking. This massive 90-pound golden retriever mix turned into a full-time relationship destroyer the moment I moved back home after my breakup with Jake. At first, I thought Bear was just being protective. You know how dogs get weird around new people sometimes. But this wasn't normal dog behavior. This was straight up war. The first guy I brought over was Connor from my yoga class. Nice guy, brought flowers, was super polite to my mom. Bear took one look at him and started this low rumbling growl that sounded like a motorcycle engine. Then he planted himself right between us on the couch and just stared Connor down with these intense brown eyes until the poor guy made an excuse about having to feed his fish and left. I thought maybe Connor was just not a dog person. Then came Tyler from work. Same exact thing. Bear would hover by whoever I was talking to, breathing heavy and making these huffing sounds. One time Tyler tried to put his arm around me during a movie and Bear actually nipped his ankle. Not hard enough to break skin, but enough to send a message. After that, I started planning dates around Bear's schedule. Groomer appointments, doggy daycare, walks with my neighbor. I felt ridiculous sneaking around my own house to avoid my dog, but I was desperate. Being single at 25 and living back home was already embarrassing enough without my pet cock-blocking me. That's when the really weird stuff started happening. I'd leave my laptop open on the kitchen table and come back to find Bear had somehow stepped on the keyboard. The first time it happened, every single match on my dating apps was gone. Unmatched. All of them. I thought it was some kind of glitch until I saw the paw prints on my keyboard. My friend Casey was like, "There's no way your dog is smart enough to sabotage your dating apps." But then it happened again and again. Bear would wait until I left the room and somehow managed to mess with my laptop. He even figured out how to close browser tabs. I started closing my laptop every single time I got up, even to go to the bathroom. But Bear got creative. He chewed through 3 phone chargers in 2 weeks. Always right when I was having long conversations with guys. One time I was talking to this guy Austin for like an hour, and Bear just walked over, looked me dead in the eye, and chomped straight through the charging cable. The call died, and when Austin texted asking what happened, I had to lie and say we lost power. My mom thought it was hilarious. She'd watch Bear destroy my love life and just shake her head laughing. "That dog knows what he's doing," she'd say. "He's got standards." I was starting to think I'd never date again. Like maybe I was destined to be the crazy single dog lady who talks to her pet about her feelings. Bear seemed perfectly content with this arrangement. He'd curl up next to me on the couch every night like he'd won some kind of victory. Then I met Daniel at the coffee shop where I work part-time. He was different from the start. When I mentioned having a big dog, he didn't immediately start bragging about how good he was with animals or try to give me training advice. He just nodded and said, "That's cool. What's his name?" When Daniel came over for the first time, I warned him about Bear's attitude problem. I was ready for the usual routine. Growling, hovering, general intimidation tactics. But Daniel did something no other guy had done. He completely ignored Bear. He didn't try to pet him or win him over with baby talk. He just sat on my living room floor with this little rope toy he'd brought and minded his own business. For like 20 minutes, he just sat there scrolling his phone while Bear watched him suspiciously from across the room. I was making coffee in the kitchen when I heard this weird sound. I peeked around the corner and Bear was slowly, very slowly, creeping toward Daniel. Still holding the rope toy, Daniel glanced up and tossed it gently toward Bear without making eye contact or saying anything. Bear sniffed the toy, picked it up, and dropped it closer to Daniel. They did this back and forth thing for a while until eventually Bear was sitting right next to him. Then, and I swear I couldn't believe what I was seeing, Bear climbed onto Daniel's lap and let out this huge, contented sigh. Daniel just scratched behind his ears and kept scrolling his phone like having a 90-pound dog draped across him was totally normal. When I walked back in with coffee, Bear was practically purring. From that day on, Bear was obsessed with Daniel. He'd get excited when Daniel's car pulled up. He'd bring Daniel his toys and follow him around the house. It was like watching my jealous guard dog turn into a lovesick puppy. We've been together 2 years now and Bear still acts like Daniel hung the moon.